Welcome to Risk Roundup. Each one of us, each nation, its government, industries, organizations, and academia, in short referred to as NGIOA, live and exist in an age where cyber criminals can compromise any kind of data and information that can belong to any individual or any entity across nations. Data is the life force of a digital global age. However, the ever increasing data breaches are becoming a growing problem for each nation. From the small breaches to big and low profile attacks to high, and from the ones that are not even yet known, data breaches, cyber attacks, stolen data, and data manipulation are practically becoming a routine affair, and there doesn't appear to be an easy way to halt this growing surge of attacks from anywhere and everywhere. No nation, its government, industries, organizations, and academia, or individuals, in short referred to as NGIOAI, seems to be immune to the data security challenges. Irrespective of personal data, corporate data, government data, or big data, securing data and information is proving to be very complex in a digital global age. While data security faces its unique security challenges in geospace, it is also an issue for cyberspace, and with the amount of digital data ever expanding and exploding across nations, its government, industries, organizations, and academia, in short referred to as NGIOA, knowing what the true values of the cyber breaches are will become more and more challenging in both geospace and cyberspace. To discuss this further, I'm delighted to welcome Dinesh Bareja. Dinesh is the Chief Operating Officer of Open Security Alliance and Pyramid Cybersecurity based in United Arab Emirates. Welcome, Dinesh. We are delighted to have you on Risk Roundup.
Thanks, Jayshree. Thank you very much, Doctor. My pleasure to be with you.
Wonderful, Dinesh. So Dinesh, let me begin by asking this question that worries probably each and every one of us. In a digital global age, is any data secure?
Data is really not secure in the digital age because it's more of a chimera, it's more of a thought where one thinks that data is secure. And if you go by the, one of the sayings which is so common nowadays, that there are companies which are being hacked and there are companies which are being hacked. So there's nothing like in between. Okay, so, that primarily is the reason why we would say that data is not secure. So one has to be very careful and vigilant, I must say, to keep a lookout and be sure that you are not hacked.
That is true, Dinesh. That is very true. Now, how do we go about understanding data security? What does data security mean to decision makers across nations or its government or industries or organizations or academia or even an individual? What would they think that what is data security for them?
Well, data security or what we would call information security, either which way. And in today's age, cyber security, right? So all three essentially go towards the same area. And the misconception which people have, if they put their computers on their servers or lock down their hard drives, everything is fine. Data is secure or information is secure. But that really is, a misconception because it really isn't secure. And data by itself, whether it's at rest or in transit, it is always at risk to be protected. So from my perspective, what I say is that data is the ultimate asset. And if we go back into time, before computers, we had files, folders, paper, basically, which we kept under lock and key and in fireproof cabinets or whatever. Today, we have bits and bytes. It's not best because it's not visible. We don't think of it as something which needs to be protected. We tangible, the computer, the laptop, we take care of that. We don't think about what is inside, and which is much more important than the $1,000 laptop which we have spent. The stuff inside may be worth $1 million. Is a misconception what needs to be really taken care of. So that is what, from my perspective, data security is all about, and it is not about hardware security or software security. Back to you.
Absolutely right. And as you said, we don't picture or vision the data in terms of, bits and bytes, like you said. We are still probably, thinking in that direction. Okay, there are some important papers, we have to secure that. But important data or in a digital format, that is not something that we need to, protect. And that's where I think the big challenge is, that we still are not tuned to that security aspect of the digital, format of our important papers or important documents. So you're absolutely right. Now, as a decision makers, how would you envision data security for your organization?
From my perspective, if my enterprise, whether it's 5 people or it's a 5,000 people company, it's more about ingraining the vision for data security in the people who work with me. So, right from the time they are inducted, we find that normally what enterprises do is that they do not really, tell you about classifying data when it is being generated. Or they don't tell you about security of data, or what you should do, what you shouldn't do. They will maybe tell you about the company, but this becomes a very important factor. So if it was me, I would start with awareness. And I'll stop for a moment because over here, because while I use the word awareness, it's a common word. I don't really personally subscribe to the word awareness because it brings a very different connotation and a very misused connotation for the security profession perspective. I would call it sensitization, because that is the sensitization is what bring into the empathy, and so that the person empathizes with me and considers the data as important, as sensitive, as critical for the working of the company and for his or her own well-being. I'm as interested in making profit. And if I don't make a profit, my guy does not get his or her money, or the company closes down. So sensitize the person into respecting what he or she is generating and achieve, I would say, security.
Yes, yes. No, those are important, suggestions and important criteria that you, as a decision maker, go through for your organization. You prepare your organization, you create awareness, you educate them, but you do all that when, in spite of that, you get, security breach. So then what would you do? What are the steps you would take once you are, hacked, or once you have the security breach?
Right. Well, I'm not a PhD in risk like you. Okay, but you know it very well. Again, the fundamental about 100% risk free, right? So taking that as a pointer, even if we are 100% aware, something can still go wrong. It can be a mistake. The most important thing over here is, again, like any risk assessment, is that you have to be ready with the mitigation plan. And in this case, the mitigation plan has to be there at the beginning, which is my incident response or management plan. And again, it's something which companies, enterprises do not have or don't understand. I don't know why. They may have security policies in place. Their security policies may have, a page about incident response, because that is a mandate or a control from an ISO standard or some. But but uh, it's not. It's never been tested.
Right,
There's
right.
there's no committee. There's no team. Team, it may comprise 2 or 3 guys from any department, just because it has to be there, because they have to just comply to something. And when, like they say, when the SHO hits the ceiling, things go wrong. So that's what I would look at. And
Right.
of course, from my perspective, again, personally speaking, the first thing I would look at in my incident management or my incident response plan would be communication. as part of the crisis management communication, starting internally. So before I start telling people outside in the outside world that something has gone wrong, I would call or put it out internally here. Hey guys, something has gone wrong, and this is what we suspect. And I am going to be talking to the people outside, and this is the message. So please keep it to yourself. So the level of confidentiality, or keep the gossip under the lid, and to keep rumor mongering under the lid, and so that's where it starts from communication. People don't communicate. People just sort of try to sweep it in the carpet, keep it in the wraps, thinking that there'll be a reputation, loss or whatever. Yes, there is a reputation loss, but it's easily repaired because, like they say, trouble can come your way, can come anybody's way.
Yes, no, communication is the key. You are absolutely right about that. And every organization needs to have a communication plan about how to, respond internally as well as externally, because there are so many different security checkpoints that they need to address once they are hacked, and how compliance, or the industries or the nation's, regulatory requirements they have to meet, their legal requirements. There are a lot of things that they have to address. And you're absolutely right that communication plays a very important role there. Now, uh,
Right.
every nation, every industry these days are going towards, storing their data in cloud. Cloud is services are picking up, very rapidly. Now, cloud, brings their own nature of security challenges because, all the data is in one place. So how would you address your organization as a decision maker for your organization? If your organization has put all its important data in a cloud, how would you address the security risk of a cloud? And based on your experience, which cloud services encrypt data at rest and provide multi-factor authentication?
No, see, the point is that a cloud provider does not encrypt data. The cloud provider is providing maybe infrastructure as a service or platform or a software as a service, but they are not the ones who will do the encryption. When I buy the cloud service and I am in the cloud, encrypt my data or keep it the way I want to keep it. So whether I encrypt or decrypt or I do a partial encryption, that's my thought process or whatever. As far as cloud services is concerned, yes, it is everybody moving to the cloud, and dependency becoming higher and higher. So,
I
so the
see.
thing being that as we move more into the cloud, using it as a platform, using it, so there is a so it's passing on to the service provider. And of course, with the big guys who are in the business, they have matching amount of computing power. So they're doing pretty good till now. Once in a while, yes, there are outages which are bound to happen. And again, if I am buying the service, I need to somehow or the other prepare myself for an outage, even if it happens once in a year or once in 5 years, however it happens. So I
Yes.
have to prepare myself, and that is another you have to look at when you're looking at the cloud. So, so in case it's not available, or like if we are in India or whatever, so or any other part of the world, your dependency on connectivity is there. So is your connectivity good or bad? If systems go down, there have been instances where the undersea cables have been cut, right? So a whole continent goes offline for a day or so. What happens to mission critical business? So one has to consider again a very big requirement for risk assessment, and then make it does bring you great value for money, and at times yes, at times it doesn't. So again, something which one needs to see.
Right, right. No, I agree with you on that. Now, each nation has its own, regulatory compliance requirements when it comes to data security. So, in United Arab Emirates, what are the compliance requirements for key industries? Let's say, if you talk about financial industry, what are the compliance requirements there?
Sorry, can you come again, please? I
In
missed that.
every
Sorry.
nation has its own regulatory requirement for the compliance, for the data security, for its, very important critical industries. Let's say, for example, financial industry. So in United Arab Emirates, what are the compliance requirements for key industries like financial industry or transportation or, telecommunication industry? So what are the compliance requirements for those industries?
See, of course, the most common, I would say, requirement which I find globally now, global requirement is for storage of data within the natural boundaries of the country. So, so increasingly there's a demand that servers, the storage servers, even if they're cloud service providers, the cloud in the UAE itself, and there are companies, of course, which are providing that service. So that regulatory requirement is met with. And primarily in terms of data security, then again, there is no such rule for the banks as such.
So
Of
there
course,
are.
is the central bank has laws which has a regulatory requirement, guidelines, and all for the banks over there. From the government perspective, there is ISA, the Information Security Authority, which is there, and which is called NESA in the UAE, that is mandated for the government agencies. So both financial and government are regulated in terms of data security and in terms of data retentivity. So like I said, there is the requirement for keeping data within the country itself.
I see. I see. So they don't allow their vital, national data to go out of the country. It has to be within the nation. That's very interesting.
It has to.
Good. That's good information. Now, growing use of cloud brings complex security challenges as data is consolidated in one place. And we just talked about, data, that what kind of, challenges it goes through. But what if a hacker, tries to hack that? They just have to hack one site and they will be able to get large amount of data access of numerous individuals and entities across, industries and nations, because everyone's data is in one place. So my question is, how strong is cloud security, and do cloud services undergo regular penetration testing to ensure that, they are secured and, hackers won't be able to hack into the cloud that easily?
Well, that would be sort of speculative on my part because I am not a cloud provider. Having spoken to the providers whom I have come across, everyone is very confident about what they are offering, and confident to the, I would say, at times to the point of bravado. So,
I
and
understand
a
that.
couple of them are friends of mine whom I have said, please don't be overconfident. Be pragmatic, be practical. That things can go wrong. So, but okay. Having said that, that's more on a I would say humorous note. But but yes, the large, again, I would say that there are some big ones, some are small ones. The big guys, of course, they have security in place on top of the mind. Many times it is when you're using the service, it is very obvious what they are doing or what they have done. About being able to, being hacked at on the back end, uh, chances are, yes, chances are there, no doubt about that. But anybody who's able to reach there, would have already done a lot of damage before reaching any of the constituents or any of the clients. So from that perspective, you're quite safe. Probably you are safer on the cloud than you are on your own home. Okay, because there is somebody who's providing you the service and who's professionally actually looking at, let's say, capacity, as well as availability, as well as continuity, as well as security. And you normally don't do all these 4, 5, 10 things together at the same time when you have your own systems over there, for whatever reasons. Whereas in that case, somebody who's providing you a service,
Yes.
and these are factors under which she has to take sort of turn back and say that yes, you're much more safer over there. But while you are safer, you still have to, you're in somebody else's house. So just be careful of what you place over there, and
Right.
make sure that you have a backup someplace or the other.
Yes, yes, no, absolutely. Now, let's talk about data and its, different natures, different format, that data at rest or data in motion. Now, there are many different security technologies for both of the, state data at rest or data in motion. So, are they, from your observation as a decision maker, do you see that the effectiveness is there for the technologies for data at rest or data in motion? Are those technologies effective to secure the data?
No, see, whether data at rest or in motion, there are technologies which are available to secure data. And primarily, again, it is encryption. You have to fall back on encryption and secure your data. So in that case, you secure your data, at least if it is stolen, the person who steals it cannot use it. So, and having said that, unfortunately, we've seen large data breaches happening over the last few years. Every breach which happens, we see that it has data which is not encrypted. So whether it's a large company or a small one, a large breach or a small breach, we had OPM stuff was out. We recently had the National Bank of Qatar. It's all plain text. And if we go back into history, wherever we find large dumps, they are all open and easily available and readable. So the sensitive part and the non-sensitive part, both. So whether it's in transit or in at rest, encryption is the key.
That is
And
absolutely
of course, encryption by itself, the biggest challenge being key management,
yes.
or even if I have one small Excel or a Word file, and I protect it with a password, and I send it across to you, and then I forget the password. So it's lying on my laptop or my machine, and I can't open it the next time I want to try it. See it so,
Yes.
uh,
Those
and
are
and
yes, you're right. That those are some, very complex challenges that each one of us face, and we have to address that. Now, Dinesh, nations today face data destruction, deletion, and manipulation threat. It's not just, hacking, but a lot
yeah,
of hackers are trying to destroy, delete, or manipulate data. Especially when we look at the financial industry,
right,
they are able to succeed in that. That's a,
absolutely,
very critical security risk we are facing. So cyber criminals, as we know, that they don't just attack and try to just steal data, but they delete it or manipulate it. This is a very critical risk facing each and every one of us, or each and every nation, I would say. So how can we prepare for such kind of security threats?
you know. Again, I'll fall back on something which two words I use very often: common sense. So it's just common sense. Data is okay. Encryption. Why haven't I encrypted whatever I'm doing? Okay. Now we're talking about a nation. Now a nation has, let us say, financial data or whatever. Now, we talked about manipulation. Manipulation happens through maybe somebody like getting a privileged access and manipulating the system or whatever, certain configurations or whatever. or backdoor, or putting some sort of a logic bomb or malicious code, that way. So is my change managed? Simple things like change management. Am I doing it or not? It is again depending on the criticality of the function which I am trying to protect. Critical
Yes.
infrastructure, for example, are still not looking at that.
Yes.
People are still living because they are air gapped, and whereas every researcher has said that air gaps are not secure for you. It's not that if you have an air gap, in terms of data manipulation, again, just in the last, I would say, 4 or 8 weeks, we've had major manipulation happening at Bangladesh Bank. We had a major manipulation happening in Ukraine with the power, with the power plant over there, power grid, I would say. Sorry. So these are things which are there and they are very obvious, and they are obvious about what's happening. So it's about thinking that, hey, it won't happen to me. It's not
Yes.
happening to you today, right? It's because the criminal has still, got to come out of real life into the internet. So we have seen organized gangs, organized crimes, not just interstate but international gangs like that. Uh, we've seen, I would say, hacktivism, international in nature. And it's like somebody, has a twist of the mind and does something wrong is not very far away. So because the
Right.
human mind again is so we see news about some lone guy or some terrorist gang going and indiscriminately shooting in cities like Bombay or other places, right? Or Paris or Brussels. So, and we see individuals going and shooting kids in school. So it can be an individual, it can be a gang, it can be whatever, and a terror organization. So that's not very far away for them to be able to get that expertise, or just kidnap somebody who has expertise, put a gun to the guy's head and say, hey buddy, you're dead. Out of 10 guys whom they kill, the 11th guy will do the job. So this is a dangerous world, yes, no doubt about that.
Yes. Yes. No.
It's a dangerous time.
It is.
It's
It
a
is
dangerous
a.
time.
These are dangerous times. You're absolutely right. Now, there is also another aspect. As a decision maker, you are doing everything to prepare your organization to proactively prepare so that there are no cybersecurity risk, and you are prepared for it. You try to do everything, by the books. You put together all the plans and everything. But one of your employee or one of your, contractor working for you, insider, who has access to the, data or to the system, he has the password. He has all the, access requirements that anyone would need to see or everything that is on the system, and he steals all the data for personal benefit or for selling it or under threat or for whatever reason. So how would you as a decision maker manage these kind of security risks coming from the insiders who are trying to steal the data?
See, again, there is technology, like let's say data loss prevention or something like that, or even locking down computer configurations and things like that. So, of course, it's the first line of defense is to put technologies in place. Okay, and if you go back to the earlier question about sensitization, so it's not okay if an employee of mine has a malicious intent. Any level of sensitization would not do any good, no doubt about that. But somebody who's in a critical position, I have to, of course, make sure that he or she is, in the proper. or keep a lookout for any signs which can tell me that something is going to go wrong, and to take a preventive action or proactive action at that time. And see, it's like again, there are instances where which have taught or things like this which have gone wrong. And the biggest example which I always quote is that of this gentleman called Terry Childs from San Francisco. He was a system administrator over there for the city, and he locked down. He changed the password on one of the central servers, and he locked down the city. So I think he was jailed, and then the mayor of San Francisco went down to the jail and got the money. It took about 10 or 15 days for them to get the password back from him. But and that's what happened to companies, most enterprises. So I call it God, God rights. They give God the person who's the person who's the system administrator, or the person with the keys to the kingdom. He or she assumes a position of being God in the organization, because everybody thinks, hey, this is like rocket science, and they forget that even if there's a password, I should get the password written on a piece of paper and maybe put it in an envelope and put that in my fireproof safe. So it's as simple as that. So it's as simple as a CEO. If you go and ask the CEO of the company, hey, Mr. CEO, what is the password machine? He may not know the password for his own laptop or the Wi-Fi, and of course he would not know where the backup is kept. So he'd say, hey, it's not my job. Come on.
Yes.
Whatever is there belongs to you, to your company. It is your job. You sign on the annual report, and you have a fiduciary and a moral responsibility and liability to take care of. So you just can't close your eyes and go away from there.
Right. Now, what are the global trends you see in data security in 2016?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah. What are the
No, I
global?
lost you.
Oh,
For a
okay.
minute.
What are the global trends that you see in data security in 2016?
Well, the primary trend which I see is crime. Crime hitting the small guy and the big guy. Okay, that's one. The second thing which I see is that mankind is building more targets for the criminals, or I would say increasing the surface for crime to have fun or to dance on. And the IoT boom which is happening across the globe. We talk about Internet of Things. We talk about smart cities. We talk about connected, everywhere connected. We talk about Wi-Fi everywhere. We talk about loon, and we talk about so basically it needs to happen, no doubt about that. But at the same time, by virtue of not thinking of security, the design phase itself, okay, what we are doing is increasing the fabric, the surface for crime to take place. And when I say that, yes, the trend which I see, is for exponential increase in the number of cyber crimes happening is another trend which I see. And primarily, again, I'm looking at email, seeing ransom crimes. These are two becoming they're very common. They're very common, easily done perpetrated by any small timer criminal also. So and it's like something where gangs can easily walk in and do whatever they want to do over there. Besides that, of course, the usual terrorism, the threat from terrorism, yes, and of course, cyber espionage. So again, enterprises have to be careful over there, very careful, because the number of people, the number of boys or girls increasingly available for a price, mercenaries, sort of hacker for hire type of person, is also increasing. And when corporates, do not have good security in place, it's easy target to pick them up, and it's easy to, guy you want, malware, to be able to exfiltrate data from there.
Right, right. Now, there are many who say that security will become the next big front for big data, as security infrastructure will increasingly take on big data like attributes. However, there are also some that predicts that big data technology in security context will stay immature, expensive, and difficult to manage for most organizations. At least in 2016, as targeted attacks are becoming more sneaky, and this, cyber criminals are also very smart people, and they're making it very complex to identify attack that is in progress. So there are no tools available at this point to know if the attack is going on right now. So there is no way to know if there is an attack in progress. So what are your observation on thoughts about identifying if there is an attack going on? What would you do as a decision maker?
See, I personally am very excited about big data. Big data and security, it has a great future, and I think that is the future. The reason being that uh, first we used to say align IT with business. Now we say align IS with business. Okay, and last 15, 20, nobody has tried to align, and nobody is aligned. But having said that, the security domain, let's say it has its fingers in every single function of an organization. So whether it's HR, admin, finance, audit, sales, anything which we may say, there is a security component out there. Okay, what is now needed to be done? I would say the next frontier. The next frontier is where big data brings all business information, technology information, and security into one single lake. You put it all into a single data lake and correlate stuff among each other. And you are bound to get knowledge for every single person. See, if you just only let your imagination run in a way, think of a data lake as a management meeting where you have managers from different functions, from across the organization, from different departments, from different locations. So maybe you've got 1,000 managers across the world. You think of all those managers at one single location, and you think of them and saying, hey, you did this, I had this on hand, and you can use this. And the third guy pipes up and says, hey guys, if you have this, you have A and B, I can use A and B to sell C in my geography. And another guy pipes up that if you are doing C, please be careful because there is this threat going around for yesterday. So you can imagine where big data is a lake, where you have information from everywhere in the world, every function, including security, and you have your threat feeds or whatever, and you try and bring it together. It's a tall order, no doubt. It's expensive, no doubt. But there will be smaller models which may come in time and will be good for SMBs, but at least to start with, the big guys can start doing that because the big guys already have BI tools in place. But they also have security analytical tools in place. They also have technology monitoring systems in place differently, and they don't talk to each other. They meet in the management meetings and they say, oh, this is wrong and that's wrong. My bandwidth is choked. This is bad. This security breach happened. That happened. But there's no correlation. So that is where I see it happening.
Yes. Yes. Now, you know that it is not just the security of the computer systems, but I mean, we also need to ensure that the networks are secure, and we also need to ensure that the physical premises where the computers are located, they are also secure. So everything, the physical security, network security, and the cyber security, they are all getting interconnected and interdependent. And everything needs to be addressed collectively to make sure that the data is protected, the data is secure, and we can prevent unauthorized access, changes to data, disclosure, or destruction of data. So all these,
Right.
different, securities are integrated. Based on your observation, do you see organizations having a planning that involves all the integration points, physical security, network security, and security of the computers?
No.
You don't see
In
that.
one word, no. In one word, the reason being, again, see the glass wall between physical and I would say physical and technology security, between information security and information technology, between this and finance, between finance and HR, between HR and admin, between admin and sales, which is they all, there's a glass wall between for which is there in each department, and it's difficult to say that yes, but when there's a crisis, they all come together and talk to each other. And if at that time you say, hey guys, why didn't you do it earlier? Oh, we will do that. And then so but like I said earlier, the early question of yours is that the way I see it is that yes, give it some time. They will have to come together. I don't see I don't see any analyst having or still talking about a convergence of business and technology functions coming together. But see, there are technologies, for example. Let's take CCTV, for example. And there is technology which can identify facial features. It can identify a person's gait. It can identify abandoned bags or stuff like that, or actions, and alert you on CCTV. Now, when it alerts you, why can't it? That can also issue an alert to any XYZ person who's in the escalation matrix, right? So if that is with my security controls, and there's just one simple control called tailgating, right? We all say that hey, one of the controls is that you should put have a control that nobody tailgates when you're entering the office premises. So a CCTV camera with that capability can easily tell me there's tailgating happening or not.
Yes.
And my control is, and you have to put in some extra investment and automate yourself and look towards using big data.
That is very true. No, I think I see that challenge across many organizations that they don't see the urgency, or they don't see the need for integration of all these different aspects of security. They are still working in silo, and that is the big security challenge. Now, there's also another challenge that if you look at any organization, personal data is tied with corporate data and also government data.
Yeah.
So because people bring their mobile devices, the laptop, their iPads and iPhones and other smartphones, and they have access the company data on that too. And corporations also have the personal data of their employees, and corporations also government also has the data on corporations and employees. So everything is interconnected, integrated. So how are nations or how are organizations managing the data security of all these different data that they have, personal data, corporate data, and government data? How are they approaching the data security from all these different angles?
Well, one is of course when you containerize it. That's when if I give you the answer in the classic technology perspective, or the classic security technology and usage perspective, that yes, you have BYOD, and we have containerization, and we have MDM. These are technologies which will allow you to sort of containerize and stuff like that, and you stop USBs and place, and so you can stop data from coming in or going out. You do data classification, and you are able to segregate personal and business data. But having said all that, uh, there's another point of view which I sort of bring in personal conversations. Of course, this doesn't work. This doesn't work with enterprise clients because, like you said, is that the thinking is still very legacy oriented. Okay, and path-breaking thought has to come in, which is sadly missing in a number of places. And even when it is there, management refuses to accept it because of the fear of the unknown. Okay, so the thought very different is that you cannot stop progress. You could not stop the old phones from becoming smartphones. You can't stop the phones from becoming smarter. You can't becoming your computer or your handheld device. You can't stop the laptop disappearing. You can't stop the phone from disappearing and becoming a wearable, maybe like a Google, like a glass, or a Fitbit wristband, and you're talking that. So, so is it for somebody to, or for to somebody to monitor that? If we take another example from history, at one time, see, like in India, you 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 work late in the office, you are on your own to go back home. Today, if a person is joining a BPO or something like that, to provide the air conditioned transport to go home. Times are different, times are changing, people have to change. So,
Yes.
this is something which the enterprise has to build the bridge, embrace technology, embrace the march of technology, and the fact that personal and business life is together. And again, make sure that the person does not use the machine in a compromised manner when he or she takes it home. See, there's another flip side to this. There's another side to this. If I turn back and say, "Hey, Mr. CEO, I'm carrying work home," you don't have a problem with that. But if I bring some personal data into the workplace, or my smartphone in the workplace, you have a problem with that. How does it work? And if I say, "Hey, Mr. CEO, I'm doing my official emails on my smartphone, so should I ask you for a salary for that too?" It doesn't work that way. We have to somehow find that common ground and accept the march of technology and accept that life is different, life is changed. We are still not accepting that life is very, very, very different and is changing by the minute, by the second.
Yes, yes, it is. Everything is changing. You're absolutely right. Now, there is another very important aspect that I see, each and every entity facing across nations, and even each and every individual, they are facing this complex challenge is the data deletion. Everyone thinks that by just, deleting that, by clicking the delete button, that they are securely deleting the data. Data deletion, if not done in the right way, poses tremendous security challenges. So, what exactly is a secure deletion data? If you can, share your input there.
Well, deletion, I'll go back to my first response to you is that as I close my laptop and I think everything is closed and safe over there. Nobody is seeing what's inside over there, right? But it is not shut down. It's hibernating or it's in sleep mode. And I just don't know that there may be some smart guy in the whole world who's put some or whatever in there, which wakes up when the computer goes to sleep. We just don't know. Anything is possible. This is a man-made world, and it's a man-made whatever you may call it. And if nature can spring surprises on us, man has created stuff which is sprung more surprises than anybody else. So, so coming back to the deletion part of it, that again is a misnomer. It's a chimera again that I deleted something and it's gone. And of course, there are some forensic experts, like many of my friends, who you give them a laptop and he'll say, "Okay, I'll retrieve it for you." So whatever is deleted comes back to life. And so it's like it's the same human thing that I erased it and it's gone. But with little realizing that it's not gone. That's one. Now, in terms of secure deletion, tools to do secure deletion, like they say 5-pass or 6-pass deletion, Gaussian erasure, and technologies or whatever, technology terms, to do that. Okay. But if it is so highly critical, it's a national secret or something, and I am from an enemy state or I'm from an interested state, and I get my hands on something which you feel has been deleted, I wouldn't mind spending enough money and computing power to even go and retrieve whatever has been deleted, whether it's securely deleted or not. I would still make that effort. And even if I get fragments, let's say I will not get stuff out of that. In all probability, I'll get zilch. But even if I get some fragments, that may also be some pointers for me. So, but in the, let's say in real life or in this thing, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
Now there is another big challenge.
And of course, if you put,
yes, go ahead.
Sorry. And of course, if you have your pictures, unfortunately, you have some pictures of yours, whether they are inappropriate or appropriate pictures, or you have some mails of yours, or if you have stuff of yours, which accidentally is put on the net and then delete it, you can be sure it's still there.
Yes. Now, there is also another security challenge. I see that, there are some industries that have walked away from using thumb drives. They don't allow any of their employees to, or their computers don't even have access to the thumb drives. You can't just insert there. But there are still a lot of industries and a lot of enterprises, organizations across nations that still allow that. And the people come, they use their thumb drives, they take the data of the corporate data on that, they bring their personal data. Sometimes they lose those, thumb drives. How are organizations keeping a track on the thumb drives that are being issued or used, or the ones that are lost? How are they managing that?
There's again no way, because it's lost. It's like playing with fire. So you have, on the one hand, we talk about securing and making sure that our corporate secrets don't go out. And on the other hand, we allow what I call frivolous, intentional exfiltration. So you put in a thumb drive, and they become smaller by the day, and with larger capacity. You can get 120 gig pen drive, which is like as big as your fingernail. And no way you can really take care of that. It's bound to get lost, yeah, or somebody takes it away from you, or somebody borrows it. It happens that way too. Somebody borrows your thumb drive. Say, I just want to copy a file, and you have corporate data in that. So while I'm copying that one file onto your thumb drive for whatever reason, I copy the stuff off your thumb drive. And there are so many things which you can do with that. So for anybody who allows it, it's a wrong thing. What they are doing is playing with fire, and you're bound to get burned.
Yes. No, that is very true. Now, you have been working in United Arab Emirates as well as India. You have been advising many organizations on how to secure, how to achieve their cybersecurity. What are the challenges that you see based on your observations in these two countries, India and United Arab Emirates, that worries you in how security is being addressed?
See, what is worrisome is that I call it the creamy layer of corporates, keeping the government aside. The government has got good funds and they have direction. But and among the corporates, the larger corporates who, like I said earlier, whoever have the funds to be able to put the money in and hire the right people, they are securing themselves. But you move down one level to the SMB segment, and it is scary. It is very scary because they don't have budgets. They hire the wrong people, and they do and whatever they do, it's like somebody say you go to a SMB and he says I'm secure. They say, oh, that's good, sir. You are secure. So he says I have a firewall. Does not make the whole network may be full of different types of viruses or botnets doing all the dirty things in the world, but he has a firewall, and the firewall has standard, or what do we call, out of the box configuration. So many horror stories about such things. Like so about that the chain, the small business with 5 computers, 2 computers, or 100 computers, or 200 computers, that size of business, they don't. Security is not something you take seriously. So security is not something they think in terms of that it's a business necessity. That awareness or that acceptance has to still come in. So the banks, yes, the enterprises, yes, they would have proper processes or stuff in place, but no, lower down the chain, where scary, like I said.
So if you have the power to change how security is addressed in United Arab Emirates or in India, what would you do? What is that one thing you would like to do?
I would go and catch the OEM.
Okay.
I would catch the OEM. I would catch the guys who make the hardware. I would catch the guys who make the software and make sure that at least first they make secure stuff. See, it is not that it starts, when I buy something. If I am buying a car, okay, I'm not the guy who's gonna, adjust fine tune the brakes. I'm not the guy who's going to fine tune the wipers. If they work good when it's raining or it's snowing. I'm not the guy who's going to, adjust the fog lamps or the headlamps.
Yes.
So when I buy a car with the proper, it comes to me with the proper systems, right? It is tested for security. It
Yes.
is tested so that the brakes are, the brakes work. It is tested so that if there is if it front end somebody, the airbags open up. So here, it's free for all.
Yes.
This is a few months back, I was reading an article in The Economist. This is about home routers. It's so scary that practically every router uses firmware which is, I would say, vulnerable or has some issues. And that was discovered about 5 years back. And there's a patch issued for that. The firmware, there's a the makes that firmware issued a patched system. So they closed that door or the vulnerability in that. In spite of that, even today, around 60-70% of home routers have that same vulnerability. They're using the same old version of the firmware. So it's so scary.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
what I would look at is stop the rot from being created. So don't come and blame me when I get hacked or something. The blame lies somewhere else. Yes, okay, I don't have processes or systems in place. Okay. Nobody told me when he told me, please change this. I read about it outside. Nobody came and told me that something can go wrong. So that's what I would sort of first look at.
Yes.
And of course, then comes the people, the processes, the technologies, or whatever, right?
Yes, no, you're right that, we would expect that the hardware and software that we are getting, for this use in cyberspace to connect, the computers
Yeah,
and all the, accessories that come with that they come secure. And right now there is a growing trend about promoting security first architecture that, we want to make sure that the softwares that we build, they are already secure.
right,
And if we have that, then we have already achieved, first line of defense. And then, like you said, we have to
right.
still work on people, processes, and, a lot of other factors. But we do hope that, across nations, that all the hardware and software that we get
Yeah,
to use for the cybersecurity, I mean, to use in cyberspace, they are already secured, and they are, nothing is like 100% secure, but we still hope that, they have enough security that hackers
yeah.
cannot easily, access that, or hackers cannot hack that. So Dinesh, thank you so much for joining me on Risk Roundup and sharing your thoughts about how to secure data and what are the trends, and how United Arab Emirates and how Indian organizations are approaching cybersecurity, and how what their efforts are towards securing the data. So thank you so much for that. Our global viewers and listeners would definitely learn a lot from how these two nations are addressing security and how data, is secured. So I appreciate your time for that.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Jayshree. You take care. Bye.
So, emerging security threats from cyberspace and rapidly evolving technology are creating a very complex and rapidly changing landscape for data security. With new security threats appearing at a rapidly increasing pace, each NGIOA is working hard to secure the data. While everyone is trying to secure the data, it is important to evaluate if we have the right approach to data security, whether we have effective framework that would allow us to effectively manage data security risk, or whether we have right tools, technology, and processes to achieve the data security. Risk Group Cybersecurity Risk Research Center and Strategic Security Risk Research Center are created for this very reason, so that we can collectively identify, evaluate, and manage the risk facing NGIOA in CGS. That means nations, its government, industries, organizations, and academia in cyberspace, geospace, and space. And then we can discuss, debate, and define necessary framework, structure, processes, tools, and technologies to manage the security risk of not only the digital global age, but also of the coming technological superconvergence. We also are making an effort to integrate and coordinate risk management and governance framework at all levels within and across nations for managing security risk facing NGIOA in CGS amidst the rapidly emerging technological superconvergence. We at Risk Group believe that risk management, security, and peace walk together hand in hand. Though security is related to management of threats and peace to the management of conflict, risk management is related to the management of security vulnerabilities as well as management of conflict, and it is not possible to conceive any one of the three without the existence of the other two. All three concepts feed into each other. We believe that the security we build for ourselves is precarious and uncertain until it is secure for everyone across nations. Tradition becomes our security, so if we build a culture of managing risk effectively, it will lead us to security, and security will lead us to peace. Let's manage the existing and emerging risks together. For more information on the Risk Roundups, to watch the Risk Roundup videos, or to hear the Risk Roundup podcast, please go to riskgroupllc.com, and do not forget to subscribe and share. Until next time, I'm Jayshree Pandya, host of Risk Roundup, signing off. See you next time. Thank you.